Most guys are wrecking their test without even realizing it. If you've been feeling sluggish, unmotivated, or struggling to build muscle, your hormones could be taking a hit. And let's be real, when you search for test boosting foods, you get the same generic lists over and over, and most of that advice is either outdated or just straight up misunderstood. So today I'm giving you the real science-backed foods that can increase your test naturally, and stick around because at the end, I'll expose the one food that's probably killing your test, something most people eat every single day. Before we get into it, what's one food you think boosts test? Put it down in the comments and we'll see if you got it right at the end of this video. Let's get into it. So before we start, you may be asking, why does my diet matter for test? Test isn't just about manliness, it controls your energy, muscle growth and motivation, even your mental clarity. And here's the key, your body needs the right building blocks to produce test. Without them, you're running empty. Test is actually made from cholesterol, which means eating the right fats is crucial. But at the same time, things like inflammation, insulin spikes, and nutrient deficiencies can shut down test production completely. So let's break down the best foods that actually help and why they work. So the first food that I'm going to be covering is whole eggs. Yes, the egg yolks as well. Egg yolks are one of the best foods for test. They contain cholesterol, which is the direct building block of test. A study in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology found that men who ate more cholesterol had higher test levels. But here's the problem. People avoid egg yolks because of their outdated fears about cholesterol. The truth, if you're healthy, eggs actually improve your cholesterol balance. So if you've been throwing out your yolks, stop doing that. So the next food that I'm going to be covering are oysters, which are the king of zinc. Oysters are loaded with zinc, and zinc is one of the most important minerals for test. A study in the trace element research found that men who were deficient in zinc had way lower test, but when they added the zinc back, their levels shot up by almost 50%. So the third food that I'm going to be covering is grass-fed beef. And by the way, not all meat is equal, and I'll cover that later. Red meat gets a bad reputation, but grass-fed beef is actually one of the best test-boosting foods. It's packed with saturated fat, which your body needs to make test. A study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that men who ate more saturated fat had higher test levels. It's also loaded with iron, B vitamins, and zinc, which are all crucial for hormone health. But here's the catch, not all beef is the same. Processed, grain-fed beef is a different story. It's pumped full of hormones and omega-6 fats that can actually lower test over time. So if you eat red meat, please make sure it's grass-fed whenever possible. Now the fourth food that I'm going to be covering today, and I think you guys will like this one, it's dark chocolate. This one surprises people, but real dark chocolate, which consists of 85% of cocoa or higher, is great for test. You might ask why. It's because it's loaded with magnesium. Magnesium helps increase the free test levels. A study in the International Journal of Andrology found that men who got more magnesium had significantly higher test levels. Magnesium also helps lower SHBG, which is the protein that binds to test and makes it inactive. Less SHBG equals more usable test. So yeah, if you need an excuse to eat more chocolate, there it is. Just make sure it's the real high cocoa kind, not the sugar-loaded junk. Now the fifth food that I'm going to be covering are Brazil nuts. Brazil nuts are one of the highest, best natural sources of selenium, a mineral that plays a huge role in test production. A study in the Journal of Trace Elements in Medicine and Biology found that selenium increased test and sperm quality in men. But don't go too crazy, just 1 or 2 Brazil nuts a day is enough. More than that, you risk getting too much selenium, which can actually hurt your levels. Now onto the foods that kill test. These ones you should completely avoid and try to cut out your diet. Number 1 would be processed seed oils. These are a silent killer. Canola oil, soybean oil, sunflower oil, these are everywhere in processed foods and they are loaded with omega-6 fatty acids. These days, everywhere we go, in every single aisle, there's always going to be a food that contains these types of oils. I'm not saying to completely cut them out, but in moderation, they're okay. The research back behind this is that a study in the Journal of Lipid Research found that high omega-6 intake actually lowers test because it increases inflammation in the body. So if you're cooking, swap these for olive oil, avocado oil, and coconut oil. These are very good oils for the body, and even apart from test, they help you with a lot of different stuff. And the second food that you should completely avoid is sugar and refined carbs. Sugar is a test killer. When you eat a ton of sugar, your body spikes insulin, and that leads to high cortisol levels. Cortisol and test, they work against each other, they don't work together. A study in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology found that after eating sugar, men's test levels drop by 25% for at least 2 hours. So if you're constantly eating sugar throughout the day, you're tanking your test without even realizing it. Alright, now that you know the best and worst food to test, here's what I want you to do. Pick one food from this list and add it to your diet this week. Then pay attention, see how you feel. Do you have more energy? Are you getting better workouts? Let me know in the comments. And if you already eat these foods, drop a comment and tell me which ones. And let's see how many people are actually ahead of their game. If you've made it this far, you're already ahead of 99% of guys. Hit that sub button so you don't miss the next one. I'll see you guys in the next video.